We all bought into this thing for the Christian community anyway, that the poor will always be with us. They're always with us, so we'll just open a food bank and feed them. And it's just not working that way.
We put a lot of time and energy into making bigger and better food banks. And I'm not saying that we should all of a sudden stop supporting food banks, because right now we have a desperate need for them. But let's put energy into saying, what are the issues that make people poor and make it so that they have to use food banks in the first place, and let's try to address those particular issues.
Many people who volunteer at food banks feel good about what they're doing. Other people who volunteer at food banks feel frustrated that they've been putting this Band-Aid on for a long, long time. They see the need and want to meet it, and the more time they spend in developing the food bank system, the more dependency they create. And they're caught between how do you walk away from that dependency and advocate for something greater.
One of the hardest things to do is not necessarily to give, but to give in such a way that a person no longer needs your help. And we in faith communities, I don't think, have reflected sufficiently on that kind of an issue.
Middle-class people, I don't think, understand what income inequality and how it is impacting them. They only think of the poor that's over them and let me just protect my own stuff. What's really happening in our society is this income gap is impacting the quality of life in all our communities, and yet we don't seem to be able to pinpoint that yet. Nobody seems to get that except the people who are most vulnerable.
Christian faith communities are mostly older white people, and they're a group that disproportionately votes. They vote disproportionately in greater numbers than others. So if they were to make poverty their ballot issue, that would make a difference.
The story we often hear from politicians is, well, this isn't what people are talking about. They're talking about cable costs, and they're talking about, about health care and education, but they're not talking about poverty. We need to encourage people to talk about the reality of poverty, and I think the best way to do that is to get them to talk about that inequality that they're seeing in their own lives.
Business is a very strong lobby, and so they respond to the people who have their ear all the time. Those who live in poverty, when you see how hard it is for them to go day by day, it's no wonder they don't have the energy to speak out. Some of them do, but I think it's up to the average citizen to walk with them and to help give them strength to speak out and to speak out on their behalf.
We need to meet the immediate need, and so we still need faith communities to do some of that, but at the same time they need to pull resources to start to influence the decision makers. So I say, go to the food bank, drop off some food, and then pick up the phone and call your MPP and say, I just went to the food bank because my neighbors are still hungry. What are you doing to impact poverty in my community?